Welcome to Clear Detailing, located in beautiful Windsor, Colorado. I'm Coleton, and today I'm here with Kyle's brand new Model S Plaid. So this vehicle was basically sent to the dealership. Kyle asked them to not wash or prep it, and it is now here. So we get a great look at how a car directly comes from the factory. In the last video, we showed kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly to a brand new vehicle like this. And today we're going to start the series on showing how to get all of those imperfections removed, how to polish the vehicle, and then ceramic coat it. A note on the ceramic coating, I will be using G-Technic's line of ceramic coatings. So on the paint, we are going to use Crystal Serum Light topped with XOV4, and we are going to use G-Technic's C5 wheel armor on the wheels. This will provide a great barrier for anything that Kyle has to throw at this vehicle. He's not going to keep this forever, but darn, it should look pretty amazing over the course of the lifetime he owns it. I can't wait to get this project started and show you guys kind of from a detailer's eye how a full new car prep works. So let's get right into it. So first order of business since the last video, Kyle had taken this car, driven it a little bit, so I went ahead and re-washed it. We want to make sure this paint is absolutely as clean and clear as possible before I start buffing on it. So this was just washed, and now what we are going to do is use this amazing tool. So this is a heated and filtered car dryer. So I'm actually going to go in and clean out every single jam, essentially like all of the gaps in the body panels. Make sure there is no water, dirt, grime, anything in there. This will ensure that there's no contamination during the buffing process, and this is absolutely one of the best tools to make that happen. All right, so here we are after blow drying the car just to get all the water out of the seams. So I'm going to take you around. I've got the lights off here from a detailer's eye, kind of showing you guys what I see here. So I'm actually picking up quite a bit more. Look at that kind of dull spot right there, right above that tail light. Wow. So that looks like either a good little buffing mark or sanding mark. Again, I presume this paint is going to be very, very soft. So any kind of marring on there is going to be easy to remove, but difficult in order to finish out. So again, here, look at that black piano trim there. Got some rotary sanding marks, swirl marks there. Coming around here to the driver's side. So again, on that charge door, we got some nice scratches there, and ooh, even a little buffing. You can actually see the compound, that white compound there in between the panel gaps. So we'll definitely get that cleaned up. We'll cut and polish that, and that will be totally gone. Wow, look at there on the handle. Look at the buffing marks there. So this, as a detailer, again, this is quick stuff that I will go in there and polish that out, make it look absolutely perfect. Coming around here, ooh, wow, look at that mirror. Goodness sakes, that has some serious swirl marks on it. And then here was one of the other spaces I was just looking at. So again, that haziness, guys, right there is just improper buffing. Wow, look at that. And a denebbing mark there as well. I did want to show you, I saw quickly over here on this other side. So let's bring the camera in here. So see that white bit there on the bottom in the door jamb. So that's another sanding mark. That is literally about as dull as can be on that paint. So anytime I'm looking for a little white compound like that, that means the car's been buffed there. So this mirror actually looks to be quite a bit better. And I did see, guys, in the video right there, definitely had some work done there at the factory. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get this car wiped down with some isopropyl alcohol, make sure there is absolutely nothing left on the paint, and then we'll get right into cutting and polishing this. I wanted to show you, this is kind of the detailer's dilemma every time we get into a car. So as you can see here, this kind of dull section, I just did a little test spot here. So the haze is actually going to be from the compound. So right now, you can tell that compound is not quite getting it. So what I actually did is I'm using a medium cut compound on an actual finishing pad in hopes to get enough cut, but to not haze this too much, because the more haze we get at this step, the more polishing down the road we're gonna have to do. So this is, every single car is a little bit different, where I've got to find the exact right process here to make sure we have the right compound, the right pad, or polish, whatever it may be. So again, anybody can get on a buffer and start going, but this is what really makes it a difference. So I'm gonna get in here, try and figure out the best alternative to this, because it's not doing it for me. So I'll keep you guys posted. Okay guys, so we're still here on this driver's side kind of fender and hood here. So this is kind of the naked raw paint here. And as we come over here, so I actually switched back to a cutting pad, but I'm using polish. I am not quite happy with this. So this is a super critical step to make sure we are using, again, the right compound and polish. And this may take me 30 minutes to an hour to really get this dialed in, to figure out, okay, do we want more haze or more cut, and what can we get by with, what can't we? So I'm not really happy with it. As you can see there, still a few scratches. We are probably just gonna have to deal with this haze during the polishing process. So I'll keep you posted and we'll go from there. All right, so it looks like I got a pretty good combo going here. So this is actually super interesting. So this section up here, guys, what I had on here was a compounding pad. So I'm actually using Meguiar's microfiber. So this is a cutting disc. This was used with a polish. Look at the haze in that. What's really interesting is we come down here, and this is a compound. So we're getting a little bit more cut, but also we will still be able to refine that. It's a little hard to pick up on camera, but this is less hazy than this. The actual DA marring looks a little bit more severe on the polish, which is interesting. So this is the cut and combo we're gonna go with here. And I think, unfortunately, we're gonna end up doing kind of a light compound. This is by no means my heaviest compound I have. I have probably 20 or 30 different compounds that I use, but this is what I settled on. I'm pretty happy with this because this is gonna refine super nice at the end. So here we go. So we're here on the fender still. I wanna show you guys this. This is pretty awesome. So again, that's some haze, what we figured out to be compound with a Meguiar's cutting disc. So again, up here, this was a polish. This was a polish on a compounding pad. I can't believe how much haze that is actually. Now, we're gonna switch down here. So this is the compounded section, and bam, look at that clarity. Wow. So that right there is fully finished paint. So again, compounded, polished. So that's gonna be our end result here. Once this thing is done, my goodness, I cannot even wait to see this thing. So just real quick, this is that section I was just buffing right there. So just a couple things going through this. So you'll notice I did 3 passes on that. So one right to left, left to right, up and down, and then back the other way. So what I'm doing is trying to break down that compound so it's actually those particles get smaller and smaller, and as we break those down, they start diminishing in cut. So look at how amazing this car is looking. I've got this small section here already compounded. Then you can notice the ever so slightest bit of clarity that comes back in this compounded section. But yeah, just wanted to share there. When I'm buffing, I am watching the whole time with a headlamp, seeing how the compound's reacting. I can also see scratches in there, so if I need to attack a section a little bit stronger in an area. So there we go. Let's check this out. So left side of the hood, we have our naked paint, right? So this is wiped down with a kind of coating prep. I use that interchangeably with isopropyl alcohol anyways to polish. But on this side, you'll notice, look how much lighter that left side is, where this right side is deep dark black. So keep in mind, this is only compounded on this right side. We still have to go in, refine those hazing marks, but most compounds, if you take the wrong approach, so if I'm gonna try and go super, super deep on cut and really kind of hammer the paint, that right side is gonna be really hazy and it's gonna be really hard to refine. So, I mean, I cannot believe, look at that clarity in there of just a compounded section. I mean, the results, I can't ask for much better than that. So this is a perfect use case for one of the best tools that I use during the paint correction process, and that is masking tape. So this is a 3M automotive masking tape. Gonna leave no residue behind. The reason I'm using masking tape here is, as you can see, that side marker slash camera is about 90 degrees on that paint. So if I were to come in there with a buffer, I'm gonna be nicking that with the side of the actual buffing pad, causing marring on this gloss black marker here. Also, as you'll note on this underside, it's a little bit like of a dull plastic. So if I'm getting compound on there, the likelihood I'm gonna make that shiny, which is absolutely not what I wanna do. Once I get the paint done around it, I will actually inverse this. So I will put masking tape around the paint in order to polish that gloss black section. And then I will put masking tape around the actual matte part there in order to not get any compound on there. That's just the way to go here. So I wanted to come in here and highlight something. So we've got a bit of sanding marks here. Pretty common. Again, we're seeing that on a lot of vehicles. This is not a Tesla only problem. Now, the interesting thing here that I really want to highlight, this edge. So that edge right above my finger there, see how it's a little dull? It's kind of white. This, unfortunately, had been polished and sanded at the factory, and we have actually gone through the clear coat there. I have not touched this particular section with my buffer. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna tape this edge, because as a detailer, my preservation mind takes over, and I need to preserve this so we don't do any more damage. If I come in here and touch a buffer on this, we are going to make that edge longer and probably a heck of a lot worse. So I'm gonna tape that edge, be super delicate, but try and get those sanding marks out as much as I can, and hopefully we can make this look slightly better. So I'm gonna bring you guys in here and highlight this section here. So I'm working on this piano black trim here. As you'll notice, there's some rotary marks, as well as here and right here are some sanding marks. I'm gonna come in here, buff that out, show you what it looks like after. So you'll notice it looks like we got both of those sanding marks and the rotary trails out. Now, we do have haze here, so keep in mind, after the entire car is cut with the microfiber cutting disc and a medium compound, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this kind of haze with a finishing pad and finishing polish. So the haze will be gone, but again, we were trying to attack those two areas. So this is something to think about, as you know, that took me a couple seconds there, but for a factory to go in, spend time fixing that after they had already done sanding marks there with the rotary marks, it just takes so much time. So that's where, in a detailing sense, I'm gonna come in here, fix that properly. Again, one thing, I wish this was never here, but kind of the detailer's aspect, we go in there, cut and polish it, and it should look as good as new. In regards to that last piece I was working on that piano black trim back by the taillight. So this is kind of interesting. We are on the driver's side trunk lid here, and there's a nice little sanding mark there. Unfortunately, so they actually did try and buff this. They didn't get it all the way. So even Tesla spending time on this particular section to try and finish it out, this is definitely not to my standards. I mean, you can see the paint around it, how much clearer that is, and the haze there. So it is good to note here that this paint is about as soft as I've dealt with. Porsche has a few paints that are just called black, and they're very similar to this, extremely soft. So you kind of fight haze. I think in this scenario, on this particular car, I will probably spend more time finishing than cutting, because again, we have super soft paint and we're using just a medium compound, getting sanding marks out in a matter of a couple seconds. So very, very interesting to see this here, but for them to go and spend time to try and get this all perfect, it's just not worthwhile for them to do when they're producing millions of cars. This takes so much time. So that's a very, very cool tidbit here. Working here on the driver's side mirrors, so here's a nice little before and after. Those are all rotary marks, looks like definitely from the factory. The passenger side was actually a lot better. So here's the nice little 50-50 here. Again, we are just dealing with so much darn haze on this car. This paint is about as soft as they come. Lots of refining still left, but very, very happy with getting those rotary marks. And as you can see right there, those super deep scratches. So getting this absolutely dialed in now. So Kyle just dropped these absolutely stunning Martian MW05 wheels off in the back of the Rivian. Actually super cool to see. Brand new set of Tesla wheels wrapped in Michelin tires in the back of the Rivian. So we are here with the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S in a 295/35/20 square set. So we will have the exact same size all the way around. So I'm going to take you through the process of getting these wheels prepped and coated. These are brand new wheels, so we're not dealing with any brake dust, road grime, anything like that, but I will still use a coating prep, which is basically an alcohol solution, to make sure proper bonding from the coating to the wheels. And again, we're using G-Technics C5 wheel armor. Just a note on the tires here, I'm gonna go ahead and clean those. These are brand new. That residue on there is typically from the molds when they actually make these. You'll kind of see maybe a dark brown or even a light blue hue. And I will actually clean those up and make sure they're absolutely perfect to put brand new tire shine on. So let's get right into the process. Can't wait to show you this. So I've got a specifically formulated chemical here for cleaning the rubber on the tire. And what this is gonna do is basically strip off any of that mold residue, anything that's on there, giving us a fresh tire to actually apply tire dressing to. If we were to go right over this, the tire shine's gonna be really splotchy, kind of look kind of nasty. So I'm just gonna lightly spray this on here, kind of let it sit just for a couple seconds, maybe get a little spray on my towel here. We're just gonna go in and lightly scrub these, and you can already see how much nicer that tire looks, getting all of that nasty grime off, all that residue. Every time that I apply tire shine to any tire, I always use a product like this to make sure we're taking the previous layer away, because we don't want to get a buildup. Look at that grime though, just right there. These are brand new tires. I literally just took the stickers off of them 5 minutes ago. So yeah, very important to clean these tires properly. So let's jump right into getting the wheels clean now. I like to do the tires first, just to not get so much overspray, and then I can actually clean this off from the tire residue. So this is a product I use. This is Geon Prep. You can use anything coating prep related. There's so many different kinds. You can even use just an isopropyl alcohol solution mixed properly. So this is as simple as I'm gonna spray a little on my towel here, just kind of mist this down and start wiping. We just wanna make sure we get into every nook and cranny. If these were a lot dirtier, which they are not because they are brand new, when I would have pulled these off, we would have gone through, cleaned all the brake dust off, and cleaned any wheel weight tape residue. So a lot of times when you get tires rebalanced, they will leave that actual tape residue on there. And all it does is just sits there, collects dust, looks nasty. So we want to definitely make sure we take that off. Again, this is just simple procedure here to make sure that coating has a proper surface to bond to. And what we'll do is we'll actually flip this wheel over, clean the inside of the barrel, clean behind the actual spokes here, and we'll ceramic coat all of that, making brake dust just incredible to clean off. Okay, so we've got all the wheels prepped for coating. We've got our tires cleaned. We're gonna jump right into coating. Now, want to make a quick note on this. I was specifically asked by both Kyle and Drew, who owns Martian wheels, to keep this matte sheen. C5 wheel armor is an excellent coating that's safe on matte and satin finishes. Now, I'm gonna probably take the approach of wiping these down a little bit quicker than normal. As we let it cure and not wipe it off, it's gonna get glossier and glossier. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and do just half of a wheel and show you guys what that process looks like. So I'm gonna go directly on my applicator pad here, get a little bit of coating on there. We are not going for a huge slathering coat. C5 wheel armor actually likes to be put in kind of thin layers. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. Now, this is one of my favorite coating applicators because I can get right into those edges, nooks and crannies, even get down here into where the lug nuts would go. And we're just gonna work our way around here. Again, we're only gonna do half of this wheel. And just wanna make sure we're getting full coverage and make sure we are just getting every single little nook and cranny in here. So as you'll notice, this is getting, it looks glossy. So initial impression may be like, oh my goodness, we are screwing this wheel up. We're actually not. I'll show you immediately. Once we hit this with the towels and start wiping, we're gonna be in pretty darn good shape here. So I actually like to use a 4-towel method. So I'm gonna just come in here on the first wipe down with this first brand new clean towel, just kind of get the most of it. I'm not looking to get every single parts of the residue. You'll notice like in here, I wanna make sure I still get in there. But again, we're not going for a final finished product on the first wipe. And look at how we're still maintaining that factory satin. This is a little bit darker than over here, but I'm very positive that's gonna knock down quite a bit more once we get into our second and third wipe down. Now, wiping down on the coatings is extremely important, and this is where people get in trouble. If you start leaving this on too long, leaving areas, like say I were to hit this and I would just leave this little area in here, that's gonna cause a coating high spot. That is not what we want. Coating high spots are very tricky down the road to deal with. Most of the time on paint, we have to sand those off or at least buff them. So on matte here, that is not a possibility because we are going to make that very, very glossy. So we need to make sure we get absolutely every single little bit of coating. And I just switched over to my second towel here. So now I'm gonna come in, you'll notice immediately, look at how that changed. So that is exactly what we're looking for, getting the perfectly satin look on these wheels. And again, so if I were to go and leave this here, we're gonna get high spots there and it's already looking shiny. So we need to really ensure that we get right up in there and get every single last bit of that coating off. Otherwise, we're gonna have some serious issues. So another thought process on how I use my towels. So I fold them in quarters so that I can basically have 8 different sides on a single towel. So I can clean the face of the wheels first and then flip around, do the back, and I'm using a fresh side every time. That's super important because if we don't do that, we are just gonna start streaking that coating and not picking it up well, and we will get some splotching. So that's looking pretty darn good. I'm gonna flip over to this other side here, go for the absolute last final wipe in all these really tricky, intricate areas here. Now, it should be said that we are not going for absolute maximum protection here. If I were to do that, I would probably do multiple layers, but again, we're gonna run the risk of making these a little bit shinier, which I don't wanna do. These are not my wheels. And Drew specifically made this absolutely beautiful finish on these. So we're gonna try and maintain that. And down the road, you know what? We may have to come back and coat these, but it's not gonna be the end of the world. It's gonna take just a little bit of time to clean them back up, get them prepped, and recoat them again in a couple years. So look at the difference here. It's hard to tell. These may be slightly darker than this side, but we'll go ahead and do the same exact thing on the rest of the wheel that we did here. We'll flip this wheel up, make sure we coat that barrel. These barrels always get neglected. The face of the wheels are pretty darn easy to clean, but I get in there with brushes, even on coated wheels, to make sure we knock all that road grime off. And it's just gonna make this finish look absolutely perfect down the road. And you'll even notice there, so I saw a little spot. We just wanna make sure we come in and do that. I may even on these wheels come back in with a fourth brand new clean towel, just making sure that we're getting every single last bit as we go around here. I just wanted to quickly bring you guys in here and show you how absolutely amazing these wheels are. These Martian wheels are some of the top quality wheels I have ever been around. Look at how amazing that machining is in there. And these are 20 by 10.5, and they weigh 25.5 pounds. For that big of a wheel, wow. So we're polished, and I've actually got the first layer coating. It kind of went on a little tricky, so I didn't film much, but this is EXO V4 going on the paint here. So I'm doing half of the hood just to keep it in manageable sections. This paint is just proving to be so tricky. So I just wanted to make sure I'm not getting over my head and trying to wipe off way too much, but this is a really interesting coating. This one actually sweats compared to most, which will kind of haze and turn like a rainbow effect. Very happy with the gloss on this though. All right, so I'm gonna bring you in and show you how EXO V4 goes on. Just kind of show you the process. So I'm gonna wipe this down. Again, this has already been coated with Crystal Serum Light, so I just wanna make sure any of the dust that has possibly fallen on the paint, completely removed. Now, I'm gonna come right over here, and I'm gonna get a little bit of EXO V4 right on here. Less is more with this product. You don't wanna overwork it. It is quite a long way it goes per panel. So what I'm gonna do here is come around. I'm gonna use the body lines to my advantage, and then I'm going to just work this product in. I like to do kind of a crosshatch section, so I get the edges first, come in, go up and down, north to south, and then we're gonna go east to west, back and forth, just making sure this coating is laid down very flat, very even. We don't want it really thick in areas and really thin in other areas. So now that I've got this coated, I'm gonna start a timer for 3 minutes, kind of let this rest, let it sit, and I'll show you what that looks like once we're done. Okay, so we are at 3 minutes now. This is nice and sweaty. So this coating in particular, it likes to sweat. A lot of coatings, what you'll see when you put them on, they kind of get this rainbow effect, and that's when they're flashed or ready to come off. Now EXO, as well as Crystal Serum Light, sweats. So what I'm gonna do is come in here with, this is kind of like a bald white towel. I'm not looking to remove 100% of this. What I'm gonna do is basically come in. Again, I like to get the edges first and then focus on the middle. You'll notice this looks really streaky. What we're gonna do is we just gotta work this in and make sure we're getting all of that residue off. So I'm gonna flip the towel over here. You can already see how that gloss comes out. Now, I use this headlamp I have on. This is another scan grip headlamp, and what this allows me to do is see exactly where I'm wiping. Look kind of around and see, is there hazing, is there anything like that? So what I'm gonna do here, I've got that first section wiped down, and now I'm actually gonna come back and coat this section while this cures a little bit, because if I keep wiping here, it just gets streaky over time. So I'll show you in real time. Again, I've already wiped this section down. We're just gonna come in, do the edges first, start our crosshatch, and then go the other way. So we've got this section coated and laid down. So now we're gonna come back and focus on this. I do this just to kind of make things more efficient. It just seems to work really well this way. And I use the body lines and body panels to my advantage. So as you'll note, we got a hard line here. I'm gonna flip these into two sections. So what I'm gonna do is come and go east to west here. First, this is just the way I do it. We've got a nice fluffy red towel here. I'm gonna flip this over, come in, go north to south. So you'll notice, I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but I actually touched up here, so I'm getting some of that residue in here. I just need to be kind of careful about that and make sure. Another note is like down here, we haven't coated this, so I want to make sure I over wipe this, because if I'm not, the likelihood we're going to get high spots here. This is particularly tricky on a black vehicle because you're going to see every single piece you miss on it. So then, final, I'm going to come in here with my third wipe. This is a second red towel, and I'm just going to knock this down in kind of a circular motion. I just find this is the best way to go. Now, over time, this will kind of cure and cure. I'm going to come back maybe once I do the rest of that side, just double check this again. So I'm going to bring my light in right now, just look for any haze. Like right here, I noticed I didn't wipe this off well enough. If I were to leave that, we're going to get high spots, and that over time is just not going to look right. So very critical. And yeah, again, I still didn't even get all of this down here. So I just want to make sure I come in, knock that out, and we'll check it again as we go. So now that I've got this panel done, give or take, we're kind of ready to start up here. So we're just going to keep doing that same process. So I'm going to get this first layer wiped down, probably go above the roof line there and get that coated, and then come back in and do the same process. It's just making this super efficient. It's very tricky and it's overwhelming when you first start coating vehicles, but I've got plenty of experience, so I know exactly what I'm looking for here. So here we are, end results for the paint. Now, just want to make a quick note. We still have to change out the wheels for the Martian MW05s and do a few little touch-up deals. We've got to clean up the glass, clean up the inside, hit the door jambs, just finishing things, but nothing too crazy. But I did want to show you just right after coating how stunning this looks. No haze in the paint from the coating. It just looks absolutely incredible. Just dripping wet and gloss. Look at the reflection in that. So happy with this. I cannot wait to see Kyle's reaction when he picks this up.
All right, so come with me. Let's go inside here. Of course, clear detailing. The one thing I have to mention about this shop, this is a low volume, high quality shop. Coleton is the only employee. He's like, I can't hire anyone because no one will even work to our standards. So we're not talking like big Tesla detailing shop, PPF. No, this is like one car a week type place. And so I highly recommend you bring your car here, but there's a long wait, and schedule it in advance, and it's going to come out, I assume, amazing. Let's take a look at the work done on my Tesla. Coleton is, I would say, the best detailer in the area, and definitely among, you know, those top guys in the country that you hear about. So super happy to know Coleton for years, of course, and to have him now work on one of my cars for the first time. Let's run inside. He's got the crazy lights in here. It's bright as day. Here's Timon over here. I guess we're gearing up for a photo shoot. Hey, Coleton. Hey, Drew. Hey, they're over here. So I haven't even looked at it. Let's take a look. Oh, well, first impression is that it's really nice and clean.
Yeah.
Second impression is like, where did all of the scratches here? Because remember how bad this was?
It was super bad, yeah.
And it just looks amazing. Now we got to get the Martians on here as soon as possible, and we will do that in this episode. But whoa. And then of course we had this little nub back here that we couldn't do anything about, but even actually now that it's clean, you don't even really notice it.
You really don't. And check out the scratch on the door handle here. This was one of like the main areas. Made that look quite a bit
Whoa, so much better. So I imagine you just rounded off some of the edges there, but just like even coming back here on the tailgate, like holy smokes, it's like a whole different color.
better.